Good afternoon. Yesterday I talked a bit about the architecture of inconvenience. You heard 3 speakers explore the topic with very unique viewpoints. Today we have Tony Miceli. Tony is executive consultant of Electrosonic. He's the final speaker in this group. After 25 years in the themed entertainment industry, Tony's learned a few things about waking up the senses. Jaws, Terminator, Harry Potter, even the US military. These are all experiences that depend on the impact of sound, smell, changes in environmental conditions. So please welcome Tony Miceli.
Thank you. Hello, Pittsburgh. All right, well, thank you, Anthony. Waking up the senses. It's quite a subject, and it's a pretty broad subject, and I'm really honored to be here to speak on this. I've spent my whole career stimulating the senses to enhance experiences. So, I want to start over again. One second.
Waking Up the Senses with Tony Miceli.
Kick it up, brother, kick it up. Hey, hello, Pittsburgh. Well, that didn't go over very well. Okay, so the idea was what a difference a piece of music can make. So, I tried. I had a great conversation at lunch today. We were talking about music and how just the different styles of music can change a scene in a movie, completely change the story. The texture of a voice, the sound of a voice. Sound effects, obviously, odor and smell. Let's see if this is working now. Okay. So I'm going to talk about multisensory stimulation in theme entertainment, or theme experience design, because what we do is really experience design. So what are the human senses? How many are there? What effect do they have on the human experience? What effect do they have in creating memories and the subliminal effect on the subconscious mind? I'm going to try not to make this too academic, and I'll get to some case studies here shortly. But we're taught there's 5 primary senses. And so the sense of sight, obviously in architecture, it's the primary thing we do. I'm not an architect, but I'm involved in the design of experiences. So the use of light and shadow and color spectrums to create different experiences, or to take a guest to some place that they've never been, or give them the illusion that they're, for instance, in a storyland like Harry Potter's Hogsmeade. And in the use of forced perspective in architecture to create a situation like at Cinderella's castle, where we can make a structure look a lot taller and longer than it really is through design. Also in projection mapping, which with the use of light and shadows on an architectural space can create the illusion that you're seeing something completely different. Obviously, the sense of smell. Now, I know that sunflowers don't really smell, but it reminded me of my daughter, so I like the picture. Pine forests. I've been involved in many attractions and flying, I think, over a pine forest where we'll introduce a scent, and that will completely take you somewhere else. It also can have a negative effect. And, I just heard a story about a haunted attraction in London that uses a strong scent of urine in the attraction to completely disrupt the guests. And they walk in there and it adds to the horror, I guess. And at the same time, when you look at open houses, they introduce the smell of baked bread or roasted turkey. But if you reverse those, I don't think you would sell the house, and I don't think people would be very scared. So it's pretty effective. And let me step back. Who can remember King Kong's banana breath? I mean, if you've ever ridden Confrontation, a lot of people got off the ride, and that was the one thing they remembered. Oh, wow, did you smell the banana breath? Of everything else that went on, the one thing that stuck with them was this effect, and it was pretty amazing, pretty amazing to be a part of. Another sense, obviously, is sound. I've spent most of my career doing sound and music and transforming the experience through that medium. You know, everything from a subtlety of a cricket to you know, our PA system in my band when I was in high school. So, touch, obviously, is a big sense, and from birth, touch is an extremely important sense that has a lot to do with how we're formed and how we encounter the world. We're using it, obviously, in every device we have is touch related. So the sense of touch is in almost everything we do. And then taste, one of my favorites. So Sunday dinner at my house, if anybody's in Orlando, come on by. Taste is very much tied to the sense of smell. So, and it's an extremely impactful sense, especially the sense of smell. In fact, sense of smell is the only sense that is active while you're sleeping, and I think it's probably a safety mechanism. So back in the day, you know, if there was a fire or something, you would smell it long before you felt it, hopefully. So there are other senses other than those five, and I'm just going to skip through these real quick. Sense of balance, sense of temperature or feeling heat or cold, sense of pain, and kinesthetic sense, which is your body's ability to know where its parts are in relation to its other parts. So, you know, if you close your eyes and you touch your nose, that's the kinesthetic sense that tells your body where all its parts are at any given time. Sense of vibration as well. But I think one that should actually be listed as the sixth main sense is gravity, the vestibular system. We obviously use this in motion base, roller coasters. It's all affecting our gravity and our sense. It's the perception of our body in relation to gravity, movement, and balance. Measures acceleration, g-force, body movement, and head position. So obviously this is one of those things that I think about and think, well, pretty much everything we are is based on gravity. And in any motion base or any kind of ride, we're trying to trick the mind that it's doing something that it's really not. And in some cases with motion base, when it's tied to a film, it can have an opposite effect. If the programming, and I've been involved in many projects where we were working on finishing our job while the programming was still taking place, and if the programming doesn't match the visual, it doesn't really work. Your brain gets completely upset and you can really get sick. So, you know, I give my hats to the programmers that I've worked with that have done a phenomenal job in avoiding that. So, even though the subject is architecture, it's really about the experience that we're trying to create. This, you know, I have to say to the young people that are here I see a lot of familiar faces, and quite honestly, if it was a room full of strangers, I'd probably be less nervous. But I feel like I'm preaching to the choir to some of the people that are here. But to the people that are up-and-coming architects and designers, this is you're very lucky to have this. We didn't quite have this kind of a forum when I started out. And the experience design, you know, there's two ways of looking at it. You can sit back and watch something, and I consider that a passive experience. There's a point where it becomes an aggressive experience. And a lot of times with sound, that is very obvious, where the sound takes over the room, you feel it, you become part of it, and the experience becomes aggressive and you are reacting to it. Same thing with smell and other forms of sense and movement, where you're part of the experience. And so this is something that I think we all try to achieve. I'm going to use a case study. I'm going to go back in time a little bit. And I'm going to use T23D because for me this was a transformative attraction that I was involved in, and it was also kind of a benchmark setting opportunity at that time. It was a unique opportunity. We were brought in to come up with an idea for 3D audio in this venue without the use of headphones or speakers in the seats. So we approached it in a pretty unique way. I mean, at the time, I didn't think it was that groundbreaking, but I guess it was. We looked at it and said, well, what if we just wrapped the audience completely in a grid of speakers with the ability to move sound in any direction and have enough power to shake the building with the audio that we think we can do a pretty decent job of this. I'm going to run a little. Is Adam Bezark still out here? Let's run a little. All right, what's happening with the video?
We are back again with the Terminator.
Yes!
T2 3D.
Cool. Well, Terminator.
As final adjustments were made to the film and choreography, completion of the Cyberdyne Theater at Universal Studios Hollywood would include a wide array of pyrotechnics, physical effects, and specialized audio to create a completely unique sensory experience.
Automatic targeting systems active.
The sound design for T2 Battle Across Time is unique because it's a 3D experience, and we're trying to enhance the 3D picture by creating an illusion of 3D audio in this venue.
I don't think anybody's going to walk out of the theater disappointed, that's for sure.
Yes, that was my hair. So, one of the unique things about the Battle of Cross Time, the attraction, and the sound design was, again, that immersive feeling that we were trying to achieve with the soundtrack. And you know, when a soundtrack is really good, you shouldn't notice it. It shouldn't detract from the story. It should become part of the story. There was an experience that I had on this that I kind of want to share to talk about the impact and the importance of sound. The first thing was when I had one of my first meetings with James Cameron at the beginning of the project. He said, you know, you can get on an airplane and watch the movie for free, but if you want to hear it, you're going to have to pay $5. So that kind of stuck with me, that he really had a strong opinion of sound and the impact sound would have on this attraction. We'd also done a film with him as well, and we kind of knew that he was a demanding kind of guy. So leading up to the completion of the project, we set up our mixing station in the middle of the room. Back then, we needed a truckload of equipment to come in, and it was state-of-the-art, and we had 24 D88s, 8-channel units synchronized, and it was they called it the battleship, the Universal guys, right in the middle of the platform. So we're getting started to do our sound mix. And we get a call, stop everything. Edgar Bronfman's here, and the executives want to come in and they want to see the film and see where it's at, and you know, this is the first time he's going to see it. They had a print up in the machine, up in the projectors, and so I said, well, wait a minute, I'm not even done. I have nothing, there's no sound. They, no, don't worry about the sound. He just wants to see the film. Yeah, I don't know, you got to have something. So I slapped together a mono track of just dialogue up the center. And they came in, and it wasn't very loud, it was just dialogue, and they watched the film. And I remember, I think Phil Hedema was there, and Ron, what was his name, Ron Bensian. And the end of the show, they kind of all walked out and like, you know, we thought, uh-oh. They came back and said, Bronfman's not happy. He's really doesn't, they don't think it's, you know, it's going to get there. And I said, well, let me give me a little more time and sound. No, it's not the sound. They're not thinking about the sound. It's really the picture. So about a week later, we're a little further in the mix, get a call again. Edgar Bronfman's back in town. He wants to see the film again. So by now I have a stereo mix, a little more sound. The subs are active and the building's shaking a little bit. And they run the film again and they go, yeah, the picture's getting better. It's looking better. And the producer, Chuck Comiskey, comes over and says, you know what, we didn't change the print. That's the same print from last week. So I was like, well, okay. So a couple weeks later, maybe 3, I don't remember how long it took, but we're close to opening, and now they're here again. Time to see the show. Now I've got 156 speaker locations activated and sound, and the building is shaking, and we're vibrating the floor, and they come in and they watch the show, and standing ovation. It's phenomenal. And they turn to the producer, you did a great job on the film. And he says, it's still the same print. So, and on opening day, same thing. It was a great, great experience to see an audience jump to their feet at the end of the first performance and a standing ovation. And, having been a part of that was a real honor to me. And I remember that Gary Goddard and Ron Benson came over and they said, we know what happened here. Sound made a huge impact on this. It's kind of 51% of the experience. And I said, well, can I get 51% of the budget next time? But that didn't work out too well. Another thing that happened on this, which was sort of a little happy accident, I don't know if that's Adam saying no, maybe he remembers this. When we were in there, they came in, the gun wrangler came in to test some shotgun shells, different charges. Some had more flame, some had more smoke. And so, the Terminator comes up to the front of the theater. He blasts the cop, get on, come with me if you want to live. They go into the future and land into, war zone LA of the future. So we were sitting in the audience while they did these tests, and they shot off the shotgun, and there was a lot of smoke. And the gun wrangler said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to change that. It's going to be less. We'll fix that tomorrow." So we went and ran the show. They ran the show. He blasts the shotgun, and as the Terminator enters the future through the portal, just about that time, this gunpowder and the smell of the gunpowder got into the audience, and we were like, "Wow, I kind of really feel like I'm in the future now. Like I'm smelling the explosions." And so, it wasn't planned that way, but it really had an effect on the experience. It was one of those things where the aroma really kind of transformed you. You felt like you were there with them where the explosions were going off, and that was kind of a happy accident. There's a few other things with this attraction that made an impact on me at that time. I mean, I can't tell you how many jobs I got just because I was involved in this. And I have to thank everybody involved. And Adam, if you're here, I don't know. Thank you. But flash forward to about 15 years later, I guess. And after the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I was a part of, I was the sound designer and music director for the Forbidden Journey in the Wizarding World. I took a little bit of a left turn, and I took a job with a company in Manassas, Virginia, which was a defense contractor. Completely outside of what I was used to, but we were designing and building training facilities, and we were also providing human performance assessment tools to track the soldiers and be able to, enhance the training experience. So what I brought into this was introducing sound and smells and different things where a soldier would run into a situation where they're going to train to save a hostage. So they'll kick in a door, and what they were doing up to that point. I know I didn't invent this for the military; they were doing it in other branches. But in the projects I was involved in, they would run in and they would find the hostage and they would save them, and maybe there would be an actual actor who would scream or something like that. So we introduced odor, and we introduced irritants, things that affected their eyes and things that affected the smell. And you kick in a door to save a hostage, and there'd be the odor of death or burning lamb or something. A woman screaming off in the distance, and you had to kind of assess, is this a hostile, or is this, what am I doing? So in that, it would condition the soldier. it would condition them to be ready for that. And I know this isn't, this is a bit of a serious subject in this kind of environment, but that is the impact that we can have on the senses. We can really transform a person's experience into something completely different and in some ways control it. The soldier that would go into a field and encounter that kind of an odor, if they weren't ready for it, it could completely throw them off. And, in this case, they would be conditioned, and their mind would trick themselves in those situations in the field that if they ran into a building and they smelled death, that it was still a simulation. And so they would continue with the mission, and they would be able to achieve their goal. So it was really very impactful. And, when I would sit in these meetings, there would be former General so-and-so and this person, and all through the military, and they would come around and introduce me. And, I have no military background. I come out of the theme park world. They would all get excited and go, "This is the guy. We need that kind of technology in our training." So, with that, I'm going to summarize, because according to this, I have 16 seconds left. But that 20 minutes went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. So start by establishing the desired human experience, or the guest experience. Every time I get involved in a design or a concept design, the first question I ask is, what do you want the guest to feel? What do you want them to experience? How do we affect them to achieve the storyline and the goal that you want them to feel and leave with? And then we'll figure out how to get there. And consider how sensory stimulation can play a part of that storytelling. And it's very subtle. And, like I said, with the horror house or the open house, it doesn't quite work in reverse. So everything is very subtle. Same thing with music. A style of music, a sound, texture of a voice. When I tried my second entry here,
Waking up the senses.
if I did waking up the senses, it's a whole different thing. So consider that. Understand the technology needed to achieve the goal, because it's out there. We're a lot further along now than we were when I did T2 3D, and there's a lot of great opportunities and technologies. And I don't know if Ravi's still here. There he is. Sorry, I didn't put your spec up there for the effect seats, but I'm working on a project right now where in the seats there's mist and wind and spritz of odor and everything, and it's all part of the experience. And I think one of the more important things that we should consider that is budget accordingly, and try not to underestimate. For all the young people that are up and coming, don't take for granted and think that your buddy who's got a Pro Tools in his bedroom can do the same level of complexity and intensity that a professional can, or someone that's got some experience. Budget accordingly in your design while you're thinking about the architecture, while you're putting it together. And thank you. I got to stop.